Hooray for Hollywood! Hello there, I am Stan the Movie Man. This is my monthly WIMZ.com movie review for July 2018. This month I went to see The Equalizer 2. It stars Denzel Washington, Pedro Pascal, Ashton Sanders, Bill Pullman, Melissa Leo, and more. It is the story of everyone's favorite Lyft driver, Robert McCall, played by Denzel Washington. Of course, in his previous life, he was a covert ops agent, a military guy who would take out the bad guys quickly and quietly, along with a bunch of other people. And his best friend is Susan Plummer, played by Melissa Leo. Now, some CIA operatives, or people who help them out anyway, are getting killed. And while investigating that in Brussels, Susan Plummer is murdered. And it turns out various factions within the intelligence community are cleaning up from previous operations, and they are taking out anybody who was involved or anybody who could figure out what has happened. And one of those is Susan Plummer. However, Robert McCall, that was his best friend, and she also knew his late wife. And when you mess with people that Robert likes, you're in for some trouble. Of course, this is a sequel to The Equalizer, which was based on a television show from the 80s. It is sort of the ultimate avenging angel sort of fantasy, where this guy who looks very unassuming and doesn't seem like the violent type is much like much like in the Taken movies. He possesses a very special set of skills. Most of them involve killing you before you have a chance to react. There is also a guy named Miles, played by Ashton Sanders, who is an artist, a budding artist, but he's also involved with a gang that sells drugs. And McCall takes this young man under his wing, as often happens or as it happened at least last time. People who are close to McCall sometimes are sort of wrapped up in the bad guy's plans to try to make sure McCall doesn't get in their way. Naturally, that all fails. Now, if you saw the first Equalizer, you know that sometimes things go wrong. And it's sort of a trope of films like this, that the good guy who never gets hurt when he's dealing with these other people, at the end of the film runs into somebody he has trouble with and winds up, nearly getting killed, and then miraculously pulls it out in the end. This movie sort of follows that same trope, but in a different kind of way. I enjoyed the way it did it. I also enjoyed the ending, which is very, it's emotional, but it's emotional in a way that is sort of manipulative. And while that is a problem in some aspects, I like the way they handled it. It wrapped up some loose ends, and that I enjoyed. Oh, also, the thing that led to the CIA operatives needing to be cleaned up, and by that I mean murdered, the reason for that is not very well explained. Even when we are told why it's happening, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So I'm going to have to knock the film on that point, simply because if you're building your entire plot around this purging of CIA or covert operatives, you kind of need to explain to us what led to this, and they don't do that. So the movie gets a little knock for that. But for the simple fact that Denzel Washington is just so cool as he's wiping out a room full of nameless thugs, I'm going to recommend you see The Equalizer 2, and that's why I am giving it 4 guitars. Go to WIMZ.com and click on the blogs link and look for Stan the Movie Man. That's where you will find this complete review. Also, while you're at WIMZ.com, click on the podcasts link and check out The Fractured Frame. It's where some friends of mine and I get together and discuss the latest in movies, streaming, and TV. And we'll have a lot to talk about on our next episode, episode 51, as we'll be talking about Comic-Con and also the fallout from James Gunn being let go from Guardians of the Galaxy 3. We'll talk all about that. You can follow me on Twitter @MovieManStan, and you can send emails to me, StanTheMovieMan123 @gmail.com. Till next time, later.